Here we go. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. You, no, I love. You know what? You can just do it every week because it makes me very happy. I don't know if you guys heard the little ding. I just love it so much. It's great. Um, so, welcome everyone today to Woven. We have just a couple of announcements. First and foremost, and the one I'm most excited about, is Daniel and Alex are talking today, and it's going to be about hope, which is such an important conversation this time. And then next week will be a fun one because John and Andrew will be talking about should we call ourselves Christian or not. That'll be a fun conversation. Uh, and they might land in different opinions. Pretty standard fare around here. So, just a reminder: Flamey Grant is playing in Newport, Kentucky next week after service, and I think there's a group going. So, for whoever is interested in that, just see John after service because I won't be one of those ones attending. So, I have too much going on in my life. And then we just want to say a very special welcome to all of you, regardless of your race, your gender, your socioeconomic status, whether you're queer or not, whether you like the Bible, believe in God, regardless of your thoughts about God, you're welcome here today, just as you are. And in classic Woven fashion, we're going to do something altogether different, and Daniel is going to lead us in kind of a game. It's kind of a fun little thing.
It is kind of a game, and it is very much last minute. Um, well, not. Yes, another very woven thing. So the concept of this game is, I don't know about you all, but I loved like school quizzes where we got to match things. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is not going to be graded. I should probably preface this. This is not going to be graded. This is for fun. There will be prizes for the top 3 winners who get the most things right. I've got one. Well, I was gonna like make a little coupon situation thing for like a small piece of art made by me as one of the prizes. Then I've got a couple of rocks that I think are pretty cool. They're colorful. They're gay. I love them. And then I also have some really, really cool stickers. They're very, very trans stickers. They are done by a trans artist who I met when I was actually doing a protest at the university that shall not be named. So that was really cool. So their name is Brachita. Brachita. I hesitate. I hesitate on how to. I know it's a really cool name. I am so scared that I messed it up. I'm sorry if I did, but I love their art. Their art is really cool. They gave me a bunch of their stickers, so that's one of the prizes. So what we're gonna do is I pulled together so many quotes from so many really cool prominent leaders in the civil rights and current day people. My brain is all over the place. Let me back it up. This is February, as you all know, is Black History Month. We at Woven celebrate that. We honor that. We think that it is important, even though a certain orange man does not. So we say, fuck you. We're going to celebrate that. And this is one of the ways that I think we are able to do this is by listening and not listening, but reading the words that have been spoken by really cool people. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9. I can't count. 8 or 9 quotes with 8 or 9 people and their little not autobiographies. Oh my God. Their little biographies that I wrote up a little bit about them. So what you're going to do is you're just going to read the quotes, choose one of the names, match the names, and then I've got a key, and I will read off the correct answers. And then whoever got the most right will get one of the prizes. Does that sound good? Okay. Are you guys excited for this, or is this like gonna be a flop? Tell me later, or tell me now, whichever. Okay, I'm gonna pass these out. start to wrap up, finalize your answers. If you're watching online currently or later, in the next 24 hours from the time of this live stream, you can also check out our story. I just posted the quote unquote worksheet and the word bank. Just DM us on Instagram, and you might win a prize too. We'll see how that works. We'll see if anybody actually does it. All right. How are we feeling? Confident? Not at all. Yeah. Yeah, the point of this, or the idea, the hope that I had is to, well, there was a lot of thoughts that I had, but just make education a little bit more accessible. Because it is really intimidating to kind of hear of these really cool people and then, well, how do I start learning about these people? What do I do? So this is just like a little nugget. So now you can take these home with you, look them up, learn more about them. I literally. No, I am. I'm just working up. But like you can do further reading. A lot of the Wikipedia, well, a lot of the Wikipedia pages are actually really good as a starting point, and that's where I honestly had my mind blown multiple times reading about some of these folks. So, okay, first one is Malcolm X. Okay, show of hands, who got it right? Nobody. Oh my God. If you're watching online, this is your chance. I guess I should have said spoilers, but okay. Wow. The second one is Amanda Gorman. Okay. Yeah. Amanda who? Gorman. Yeah. All right, who got it? One, Alex. Very nice. You're in the lead. Third, and I'm really excited to see John's reaction in a little bit, is Martin Luther King Jr. Nice. Okay. More people got it. Number 4 is James Baldwin. Oh, wow. You got it? Awesome. The 5th, number 5, is Bell Hooks. Nice. Bell Hooks. Yep. Awesome. Okay. Half credit. All right, number 6 is Frederick Douglass. Yeah. All right. Number 7 is Angela Davis. Okay, I'm hearing a lot of yeses. This is really cool. Hey, and that's okay if you got 0. That's okay. This is a great. This is actually really challenging now that I think about it, especially if you're not at all familiar with people. Okay, is this the last one? This is the last one. Number 8, Bayard Rustin, and I probably messed up his name, and I apologize. Pronunciation is really tough for me. Awesome. Okay. Who got more than 0? Okay. Very nice. I'm proud of you guys. Oh, this is so exciting. Okay. Keep your hand raised if you got more than one. Okay. Okay. More than two? Just 2.5 count. It is still more than two. More than three? Okay. So if you got more than, yes, if you got three, and if, I'll give you 2.5. It's more than two.
You state your case. I had her as one of the options. I didn't really put anything like super definitively like for it.
We'll see. See me after class. Okay, that's fine. But so if you got if you got three, see me after. I'll let you pick the prizes. All right, so now, if you will, please welcome my dear friend, my former roommate, Alex. Come on up. Come on up. Okay, now we gotta figure out the technology situation.
That's your purview.
I know, but you also have one, the thingy thing.
I'm just here to look pretty.
Yes, yes, you are, and I'm so glad you're here.
I came here to drink water and serve.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. You know what?
Honestly, drinking water for me is a huge accomplishment because the thing when we lived together, everyone was like, Alex, you should be drinking water. And I was like, why do I need water? I have Mountain Dew. So this
Mountain
is huge
Dew
for
is
me.
not water. Mountain Dew is Mountain Dew. It's like half sugar.
No, not if it's diet.
Oh my god.
Well, I'm drinking water now, okay?
You are doing better, and I'm very proud of you.
Wow, thank you.
I'm so proud of my friends when they do good things for them. It's so exciting. All right, so we are here to talk about hope. This is an intervention, not really, but seriously though, it's tough. I'm gonna be so for real. It's really tough.
It's rough out here, gang.
It is. It is. So, the topic of today's conversation, the title that I gave it, is Hope as a Practice, Not a Feeling, which is something that I've kind of been challenged a little bit by people on TikTok, which feels a little awkward to say, but the platform gave me a lot of opportunities to come across really great people who thought deeply and really well about things and shared their perspectives, which is really cool. And one of the things that I kept hearing is just hope and the idea that it's not just a feeling, it is something that we can practice. And after kind of taking a step back and doing a little bit of introspection, I realized that it was something that I had already been doing on small ways, in practical ways. So I wanted to share some of the nuggets of wisdom and also have a conversation.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Awesome. So before we go into how to practice hope, I really do think that we need to talk about what hope feels like. Like, before we move on to the practice, we need to, I think, dwell on the feeling a little bit. So Alex.
Yes.
What does hope feel like for you?
It's kind of a hard question. I think hope is a little different for everybody. For me personally, I have recognized rather recently, actually, that I have something of a bad habit of not giving myself permission to feel hopeful. So for me, a lot of the time, hope is something that I do very intentionally. But also, even like when it's not intentional, you know, hope slips through the cracks sometimes. Sometimes I find myself feeling hopeful despite my noggin telling me not to. But for me, hope is usually, it's usually, like for me, hope and despair are kind of two sides of the same coin. Like my options are usually like, I can feel really sad about this, or I can let myself feel hopeful and look to the future. So for me, it's usually a feeling in opposition to despair. That's the best way that I think I can describe it.
And would you say, it kind of sounds to me like you're choosing to feel hope.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think the world sucks so bad, and it has like for a really long time. And so, I think especially like even in growing up in evangelicalism, there's always this idea of like, oh, if you just pray hard enough, you'll get what you want. Even though that's kind of prosperity gospel, which is also yucky. It's you kind of there's like almost an expectation of like either like you have to go full steam for hope or you can't do it at all. So
Yeah, all or nothing.
yeah,
Kind of leaning into the toxic positivity
yeah.
bullcrap. Yeah. Yeah.
Also, like our generation, like with all the love of my heart, we're so mentally ill. Not in the sense of like we're more mentally ill than other generations, but we're definitely more aware of it, I think, than other generations have been.
Yeah. We
So-
almost like bear it as a cross, like a visible sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of my friends, love y'all, most of us are depressed or were suicidal in middle school. So, it's a pretty common story for most, I think, Gen Z people that we've felt or still feel like a great feeling of hopelessness,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. For me, I think I feel hope in my heart, like literally in my chest, when I truly feel hopeful, when I don't necessarily force myself to try to feel it. I feel it in my chest. And when I do, I try to really savor it and really remember it. Because when I start to feel hopeless and start to dip into the despair part, then I have this memory of the warmth that I feel in my heart to look back on. And so sometimes in making myself kind of feel hope, I have to, you can't really just make yourself feel something. You have to kind of get creative.
Right.
Do other things that might lead you to start to feel hope. So what would you say, like what fuels your feeling of hope? Would you say? Like, is there an activity that you kind of fall back on? Is there, I'm blanking on the words. Yeah, tell me, how do you nurture your hope?
Well, one of the things that my good friend Reagan says is that existence is an act of resistance. And so, shout out Reagan. Fun fact, she's named after President Ronald Reagan.
Boo.
So that's, love
The
her,
President
though.
Reagan, not.
Yeah, we love Reagan.
Yeah. Reagan's great.
Yeah, shout out. But a lot of the time what I do if I'm feeling hopeless, or I'm recognizing that I want to feel more hopeful is I will either, seek out community on a more micro scale, so like whether that's just like seeking out my friends, most of whom are queer, and finding community that way, or going out into like the wider world and reminding myself that there are like queer people outside Asbury, whether that's like going to some place like 3rd Street stuff or like a gay little bookshop or something like that.
We love a good gay little bookshop.
Gay little bookshops are my favorite. Fun fact, actually, when I went to England over the summer for my stupid cross-cultural experience for college, I went to the city I was born in, which is Durham, England, and they have this little market there, and my dad and I went through because I needed a carabiner, A, because I'm gay, and B, because I was using a collapsible cane at the time, and I wanted to be able to like clip it to my belt so that it wouldn't fall out of my pocket or something. It's a whole thing. And while we were going through the market, we actually passed by this like very small like bookshop stand. And like one of the books that I saw that caught my eye and made me stop was like something like Bored Gay Werewolf or something like that. So I stopped and I started talking to them, and it was really interesting because like, first of all, like that's gay people in my literal place of birth. where my parents like did ministry for like years, and my parents are homophobic. So yeah, so that was really cool. Like, first of all, to get like that experience in the place where I was born, and also to get the experience of like what's it like being like English and like being queer.
Yeah.
And so we kind of swapped stories. Like, I told them I was from the Bible Belt, and they told me that they like, and they heard about like the Stonewall riots, obviously because it's queer history. But they also told me about like in England they had the lesbian minor riots. Yeah, it was really interesting. And so I think a lot of the time, seeking out reminders that there are like the world is very wide, and yes, there are a lot of really horrible things that happen, but there's also community to be found in like the weirdest places, like in a bookshop in your place of birth that has bored gay werewolf books.
When
It's
you
amazing.
least expect
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And also, fun fact, my dad was standing outside the whole time. So I hope he
Can
was
I
uncomfortable.
throw a rotten tomato at him when I see him next time? Maybe I should not say this when we're live streaming. Anyway,
No comment.
fair enough.
We'll talk.
Yeah. Slap. No, but that is really beautiful that you were able to kind of connect to the physical place of where you were born, and also to the community that you are a part of.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I have my problems with England as a whole. I think,
Right.
you know, England has a very imperialistic history, and in some ways is still imperialistic. But when we were there, it was definitely a far cry from like Kentucky. Like, they still had pride banners up. They had like pride infographics on the street. And it was really nice to be
Yeah.
able. Was it during June? It was actually shoot, I know my months. Hold on. I think it was right after June. It was July. So like a lot of it was still left out from Pride. But it was still really cool, you know?
And just the fact that it was left up after
Yeah.
Pride, and
Yeah.
it wasn't
They didn't feel the need to,
automatically
like, yeah.
just swept up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really cool. Plus, there were just a lot more, like, visibly queer people just out on the street,
Yeah.
you know?
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you got to experience that.
Yeah.
Because that's really special. And speaking of the university that shall not be named for many reasons, the same university that we went to together, the same
technically,
university where we roomed for a whole year together, in the same apartment.
Yeah. I mean, I'm technically
How-
still there.
That's true. I'm so sorry, but you're almost out.
I'm almost free.
You're almost free. You got this. What, like 3 months? Look. Oh my God.
2? That's question mark?
That's wild.
I think I might explode, actually. Hold on.
But how the hell did we survive? Because if you're not familiar with the university, it's pretty homophobic, and it's not very diverse. But at the same time, there is a thriving population of queer people, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
We had a whole apartment with 6 people.
Gay apartment.
Gay apartment, yes.
Plus good friend and ally Josie.
Yes, with our token straight.
Yeah. Love
Which,
her.
that is a great ratio.
Yeah.
5 to 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get
That was
wrecked.
neat. In a homophobic place.
Yeah.
Incredible vibes.
Gay apartment for the win.
I miss that place. But how did we survive? How did we, not to sound like a broken record, but hold on to the hope? Like, how were you able to find hope? Because there were a few things that you already kind of mentioned that I
Yeah. Well, for starters, I think Asbury. Am I allowed to say that name?
No, you already did.
Yeah. Anyway, hate
I
that
feel like
place.
we already know that this is Asbury. So
yeah, hate that place.
Yeah, boo.
I think Asbury would be 100 times more unbearable if it were like I was the only queer person there, or if like there were maybe like only 2 of us, you know. But the fact that like there are so many of us there, like sure there's like probably close to 1,500 students at Asbury now, probably more, because we had a bunch of people who came in after the outpouring. Sorry. And like the fact, like comparatively, like there's not that many of us compared to the overall number of students on campus, but there's still like a pretty decent number of us, you know? And the fact that most of us are able to like, we have, you know, a support group, we have like fun events, and more than that, like on our hall in the dorms, like there's a lot of us on the hall as well. And so I think community is very important. And I think it would be a lot more difficult. Like even like when we were both at Asbury, like that community like got us both through some really, really horrible times.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't think I would have, like, not to be morbid or whatever, I don't think I would have survived like being outed to my parents if I hadn't had like a good support system. Like I genuinely think that might have killed me.
Yeah.
You know, so community is really important because first of all, it shows that you're not alone.
Yeah.
And second of all, like 9 times out of 10, there's another person who's experienced a very similar thing and they can give you advice, you know, even if it's not like a 1-to-1 ratio, you know, there's a lot of overlap in queer experience and that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And also part of that, like feeling of sense of community and support during traumatic, like truly traumatic events, and even just mildly traumatic events, it's nice to have people by your side and near you that can distract you, that can make you laugh until you cry when you're crying, sobbing because something awful happened to you, and being able to
like go to a Sonic parking lot at like 3 a.m. and just like quote like weird TikToks until you're all like pissing yourselves.
Yes.
You know?
No, literally. Yeah. And it's that.
Not that I've ever done that.
No, absolutely not. No. What are you talking about? That never happens. But yeah, that's actually kind of a common theme when we look at the history of queer people. Specifically, this is something that Patagonia, if you know who that is, she's a really incredible drag artist who advocates for climate protection by doing drag and by raising awareness. And she recently shared a quote or this idea that was really, this quote that came from a queer person from the AIDS crisis epidemic.
Yeah.
From that time, who just said that the only way that they were able to survive is by doing what they can. And that was, in the morning, they would go to a funeral. During the day, they would go to protests, and they would advocate for themselves, for their peers, for their family. And then at night, they would go out to the clubs and party.
Hell
because that is what kept the hope alive. The mourning, the making space for and feeling the feelings in community, not by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
They would go to those things together. They would hold each other. They would cry with each other. Then they would do the work that needed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would party.
Hell yeah.
Because the partying was a snippet of the queer joy that we are now able to experience.
Yeah.
Even though it is still like being attacked and we're not doing great because of a certain Oompa Loompa. But the fact that there are queer bars and safe queer spaces in Lexington, in a very red state, the fact that this exists, the fact that we are here right now in a church, that's special. And if we don't recognize that, if we take that for granted, if we isolate ourselves from that, that's when hope will go away.
Yeah.
So the fact that you all are here, the fact that we are all here, we are practicing hope. We're not just feeling it, but we're practicing it. This is what practicing hope looks like.
You're getting a good grade in hope, something that is both normal to want and possible to achieve.
Congratulations. Yeah. And another thing, I also feel it is very important to point out that, I said this before, I'll say it again, Happy Black History Month.
Hell yeah.
This is important stuff. It's important to recognize that the pressure that we are feeling is not new. It is not new.
Mhm.
Black people in America have experienced even greater forms of oppression
Absolutely.
on this same land. And Native American people have also
Absolutely.
experienced
Yeah.
this oppression. And they're still here.
Mhm.
They're still kicking.
Mhm.
I hate how white I sounded. Ugh. But they are still here, and they're still able to celebrate and to feel the hope.
Mhm.
And I think the reason why they're able to have and feel the joy and to celebrate together is because they have hope.
Yeah.
Um,
And there wouldn't be a queer community without Black people, without Native American people, or trans people.
yeah.
You know.
Yup. Yeah. Hold on. I wrote down a really good quote, and I want to find it. It was a quote from, shoot,
Do you want me to hum the Jeopardy theme?
sure.
I don't know why I offered that. That was a bad.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. From Star Trek, which, fun fact, I have still never seen it. I still have not seen it.
Oh.
Say thank you to TikTok for bringing this quote to my awareness. So
quote
here it
brought to you
goes.
by
I don't know who said it or when or where. I don't know the context of it, but when I heard it, I literally had to stop, pause, and pick up my jaw. To hope is to recognize the possibility.
Mhm.
To hope is to recognize the possibility.
Mhm.
That's, I don't know about you, but that's tough for me. That's tough for me. Because you can recognize the possibility in a really bad way, or you can recognize the possibility in a really good way.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
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 I don't know. There was something else. Oh, there was something else. Speaking of, we are in a church.
Oh my God. This isn't a Kmart?
I know, right? Kmart's are closed.
Wait, did you
bad
say
joke.
they're closed? Really? Kresge. Okay, yeah.
Wait, does it actually?
Yeah.
Kresge?
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
Dorothy Kresge's husband? Yeah. This fun fact brought to you by.
I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't like that.
Yeah. So anyway,
Oh. So we're in a church. As we practice hope, as we go forward, how do we integrate our faith, or lack thereof, in this?
yeah, I mean,
Take it away.
shit sucks, man.
But also, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Because we're here.
Right, yeah. So I think when I was in middle school and suicidal, one of the, it's so weird because like growing up in evangelicalism is always yucky, unless you get really lucky and you get a good one. But for me, something that I kind of weirdly latched onto was the book of Jeremiah, specifically because Jeremiah is one of the minor prophets, and he was a depressed pastor's kid who got the shit beat out of him all the time. And that was kind of me. I mean, I didn't get physically beat up all the time, but I've been bullied like my entire life, basically, until college, of course. So I was kind of like, wow, he's just like me. But I like the book of Jeremiah because it's one of the books where shit sucks all the time. Jeremiah is never having a good time in this book. He's always like going through something. And it's one of the few, like especially minor prophet books, like one of the few books where we get back and forth between like God and like the prophet, where the prophet's like, this fucking sucks and I want to go home, you know?
So true.
Right. And so, again, Book of Jeremiah is pretty dreary. Like, there's a reason that people commonly associate the Book of Lamentations with the author of, well, they associate with Jeremiah. I don't know how true that is. But, like, it's pretty depressing. Like, Jeremiah the whole time is just saying, hey, everyone sucks, and you're going to get carted off to Babylon for a really long time because you suck, and everything sucks, and,
Very hopeful, very optimistic.
Right. But, like, even though, like, there's all of that, like, horrible stuff, like Jeremiah himself is saying, there's still, like, kernels of hope, like, seeded throughout. There's that classic cliche, like, Jeremiah 29 something,
11.
one that people take out of context all the time, where they're like, I have plans for you, yada, yada, yada. But people, again, always take it out of context. But again, Jeremiah's never having a good time in this book. There's like 3 major complaints he has against God, and they get progressively less respectful each time. The first time, he's like still having not a great time, but he presents it in a very legal manner, like he's presenting a case. The second time, he's a lot less respectful, and he's basically like, I wish I was never born. And the third time, in chapter 20, chapter 12, chapter 15, and chapter 20 are those 3 major complaints. The third time is when he's literally the most pathetic he's ever been, and he's angry, and he's like, curse my mother's womb for bearing me, curse the man who went and told my father that I was born and made him happy, everything is awful. And it's this weird dichotomy, like you have like a praise verse in there, and then the very next verse is like, curse my mother for bearing me,
Yikes.
And like part of why Jeremiah was having such a rough time is like, first of all, he was regularly getting he was regularly getting the shit beat out of him. He's got, I think in one instance he was beaten and then put in the stocks overnight, which is a very medieval thing. But I think part of Jeremiah's issue is that what he was prophesying was pretty much always doom and gloom. And I'm sure like Jeremiah was probably thinking, what's even the point of saying all of this and calling this all out because I know nobody's going to listen. You've made it pretty clear they're going to get carted off. And part of what Jeremiah was doing is he was calling out social injustice. There's this thing in the Old Testament called the Quartet of the Vulnerable, and that's basically the 4 most vulnerable people in the ancient Near East, which was the poor, the foreigner, the widow, and the orphan, because those were the least protected groups. And so they were being severely mistreated in Judah, and Jeremiah was calling it out, but obviously he knew that like nothing was actually going to change. So part of this despair that he feels is both like, I'm mad that I'm getting the shit beat out of me literally all the time, and also I know that there's like everything is gonna just happen anyway. Like it feels like there's no point in me saying any of this. But again, throughout this book, there's still like hope seeded along. At the very end of the book, so in like, I think there's like 52 chapters, there's this little tiny scene at the very end where we see Judah's king, Jehoiakim, I think, being shown favor by the Babylonians. And it's kind of like a little epilogue that shows like, yes, you're in Babylon, but there's still favor being shown, like yada, yada, yada. And I think the important things to remember in the book of Jeremiah is like, how do I put this? One of the things that I really like about the book is Jeremiah complains, but he never stops calling out injustice. Because to say nothing is to be complicit with these injustices being enacted. And again, he feels hopeless a lot of the time, but despite all the doom and gloom, there's hope, there's promises that things will get better after shit sucks for a while. Crying out for change isn't completely hopeless. And so I think one of the things that I pull from the book of Jeremiah, even though it's kind of a hard read sometimes because, again, shit sucks all the time in Jeremiah. But one of the things I pull from it is that hope is an act of rebellion, I think. And that despair is almost the tool of the oppressor. Because if Jeremiah had given up Or in any situation, if you see people crying out for change, if they had given up because they got too hopeless, that's the oppressor winning, you know? If we say nothing, we let them win. If we feel hopeless, we let them win. And so hope and allowing ourselves to look for things in the future and hope that things can get better is an act of rebellion, especially when we follow it up with the work, like those, like in the AIDS crisis, where they would, you know, do the work and then they'd party, you know? Yeah. I don't know.
It's a fine balance to find.
Right. Yeah.
And I think it's beautiful. I mean, I personally really struggle with faith, with Christianity specifically, and the Bible. Get her away from me, please. But at the same time, I'm really drawn to Psalms of Lamentation.
Yeah.
And when we were talking about what we were going to talk about, I asked you, like, where in the Bible can we find hope? Like, what can I want to tie this in because it still feels important, especially as Christian nationalism is becoming so rampant, and the beauty of Scripture, the beauty of the gospel of this good news for the poor, for the sick, for the lonely, for the oppressed. It's being sabotaged by people who want to do harm. Far be it from me to let that happen and not try to make it better.
Right.
To not find a better way or make a better way. So I think it's beautiful that Jeremiah, that you were able to find in the book of Jeremiah this idea of hope, this idea of, yeah, shit sucks, but at the same time, I can't give up because what if? Because what if things will get better? What if a better future is worth fighting for? One of the quotes that I saw on Pinterest a long time ago, like multiple years ago, when I was really starting to enter into my dark night of the soul or something like that. I forget exactly what it's called.
Yeah, it's Dark Night of the Soul.
Yeah, that. Yes. The quote was, "Let this radicalize you rather than lead you to despair." And I still hang on to it. And I think I've started to really live by that quote of, I cannot give into despair because then I will not exist. And I cannot not exist because I see the impact that the lack of existence makes. And I also see the impact that my presence makes. And that's really cool. It's a privilege that I get to see that kind of impact, but it's also, yeah, it's really cool. It's really needed. Yeah, thank you for joining me in this conversation.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your wisdom.
Okay.
You have it. You have it. Take the compliment, Alex. Take it. I love you.
Love you too, man.
And as we transition into a time of communion, another thing I really struggle with. Guys, are you proud of me? I'm doing hard things. But as we transition into a time of communion, I want to read a prayer from Black Liturgies, a book that we very frequently use both here at Woven and during Beaumont service in the morning. It's a prayer for beauty in the mundane. So hear this prayer, and then in your own time, you're welcome to come up to the table and gather the elements and take them as you see fit. God of every beautiful thing, make us people of wonder. Show us how to hold on to nuance and vision when our souls become addicted to pain, to the unlovely. It is far easier to see the gloom and the decay. So often it sings a louder song. Attune our hearts to the good still stirring in our midst. Not that we would give ourselves to toxic positivity or neglect the pain of the world, but that we would be people capable of existing in the tension. Grant us habits of sacred pause. Let us marvel not just at the grand or majestic, but beauty's name etched into every ordinary moment. Let the mundane swell with the mystery that makes us breathe deeper still. And by this, may we be sustained and kept from despair. My original plan was to read a confession here from the same book. But after reading it again, or skimming over it again, I don't think that's what I want to do. Instead, I'm going to read you this benediction from the section Joy in this book. And as you hear these words, let them wash over you. Store them in your heart. I hope these words will empower you and strengthen you in your pursuit of hope, in your practice of hope, in this world that really needs it. So, be at peace. May you access the fullness of a joy and hope that allows for both an interior solemnity and a levity. May you learn to be at rest with yourself, able to access a peace and a hope that carries memory but isn't chained to the past. And may you laugh, allowing the mystery of joy and hope to steady you always and keep you from despair. Love you all. Dismissed.